Please welcome to our program the CEO, I'm guessing. Although I have figured it's Virginia. His wife, Virginia. Tom Gustar is the man behind Genie SEO. Tom's here, everybody. Come
Hey, how's it going?
on now. Come on now. Tom.
Yes.
What's going on, man?
Hey, you tell me.
This idea of ranking high as in the world of Google, I for some reason, before you guys became involved with our fantastic program, I thought that had sort of gone away. But as we've discovered recently, ranking your website is still as crucial, if not more, than it's ever been.
Yeah, well, I think I went through a fad stage there for a while where it was really easy to sort of game the algorithm. Google is a mathematical algorithm, so people were, just about anybody could do it. I remember the first conversation I had about it was with a guy in a music store, and he was talking about how he was doing all this crazy stuff like just putting articles up on article submission websites, and you'd put links in them, and as soon as Google read the algorithm, within a week you'd be number one. And so that was kind of a time when I think it was like just about anybody could do it. So it was really popular. It was a buzzword, and your cabbie was talking about it.
In those days, wasn't the whole idea was to get as many things, as much content published and linked to other sites, and that's how, I just burped again. That's how Google did it, is it became a content aggregator, and if you had a lot of content, you rose up? Is that what it was?
Well, there's still a component in that. Like when I talk about digital marketing or SEO, there's kind of two components to it, and they get confused. And one is pure SEO is about just ranking, and usually that's what we most popularly do for people. But then there's content marketing, which are kind of two different things. And for really, really big companies, content marketing is more important because, I mean, really for a local business, what affects the algorithm the most is when you build a few links to their website. Google's algorithm reads that, looks at it as votes of confidence, and they rank you higher. But if you're Amazon and you already have 2 million links to your website, what good is 10 or 12 more going to do? So what they do is they build more and more content. So it just becomes the mass of different tentacles of different knowledge on the web. And that's really two different entities and two different reasonings for how you go about the business.
You made the point, there was a time when anyone can do it. Now anyone can't do it. And what's the difference?
Yes and no. I mean, if you're in a small market and you put some time in, like you spent some time online, and if you were smart about sifting through some of the misinformation, you could probably get your own website in a not too competitive industry to perform better.
Okay.
But the thing is now that it's not very many non-competitive markets. Just even small towns like of 50,000 people, it's getting very competitive because more and more people are throwing their hat in the ring.
For sure.
Hiring people like me.
Sure.
And you sort of made the point when we were talking the other day, Tom and I, about our website. Now, obviously, we rank highest or number one for Humble and Fred.
Right.
But we don't rank as high as we could for Toronto radio advertising. It's something I never even thought about, that people are searching, and we looked at it together, or you showed us in the, you did an analysis for us.
Sure.
It was pretty cool, because you sort of showed that that's available. We could have that. And it's for some reason, and radio companies haven't gotten on that. Because the only thing someone like Bell or Rogers would have wanted to rank number one for radio advertising?
You would think so. There's a significant amount of search for it. But the thing is, if it's hard from your own, it's like not being able to see the forest for the trees. When it's your own business, sometimes you're a little bit blind to what's really important to it.
Sure.
And we sort of have an advantage in SEO because we have a bunch of tools that when you learn how to use them, they're software tools, very powerful. It's very quick to assess a situation with a piece of software because I can go look at your competition, see what's going on with them, and the software returns a whole bunch of things saying, oh, well, this is what they're ranking for, and then you quickly go through that, and if you look at what the search terms are, you can kind of figure some of them are just generalized search terms, people looking up info, and then some of them are more what we call a money term, meaning if you were to rank for this, it would have economic value.
Right.
So,
and in our case, if we were number one ranked for Toronto radio advertising, it could, be a monetary value to us, because who knows what people are searching for. And wouldn't it be just so funny? I thought of this. It'd be so cute if we actually outranked Bell and Rogers number one for radio advertising.
That would be pretty powerful.
Okay,
I can't not imagine that. Did I say that right? I can't imagine that it wouldn't be beneficial. To me, anybody that's looking that up, I mean, certain types of searches, if you take the term running shoes, I mean, people could just be looking for pictures of running shoes to put in a collage for a school project.
Right.
But when you look at Toronto radio advertising, it's very specific. You would imagine people looking for that.
So what would that strategy be to make Humble and Fred number one in that?
Well, the first thing is just to optimize the website. Not to pick on you guys, but do you mind if I reveal a couple things?
Oh no, please pick on us.
Okay, I'm going to
because
pick on
that's where our bread and butter is.
Carte blanche to pick on you.
Yes.
So first thing I did was I just went and looked at your source code. All you have to do is right click and go view page source, and
that's
what
metadata,
Google reads.
right?
Yeah, it's all the data about your website that makes the browser reads to see what we see visually as humans. And so I look in that, and I just look radio advertising, and if I don't see that in there, Google's not going to see it either.
Right. Did you not put that as your meta tags?
To be honest with you, Amanda,
Phil just laughed.
Phil's laugh, but Phil's laughter aside, I mean, Mike Boone's created our website. The guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah. No, he does.
We never really, until we had this conversation with Tom, I don't think I ever really thought about
that's fair.
embedding advertising tags into the website.
That's fair.
And but as Tom said, it's like we're in our own little world here. I don't know why it wouldn't have.
Well, you can't do what you're not aware of.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what's so powerful about what Tom's saying is here we are in this industry. We're trying to encourage people to advertise with us, and yet we didn't embed that metadata because we just didn't think about it. But the first thing you thought of was radio advertising.
Well, I'm always looking for where the money is, right? Because if I don't return people some sort of economic value, I'm out of business. So, I mean, you mentioned you had a web guy, and you were surprised that, and I'm not actually surprised that he didn't.
What's not his fault?
It's not his thing. I have this conversation with people a lot. I'd say, well, I got a website guy, and I've got a guy on and I say, well, if that's the case, then how come you're not showing up for this and showing up for that? And it's because they do it. They're in a completely different world.
Well, and sometimes they get directives. In our case, it would be if we had said to him, listen, we want to rank high in radio advertising, he would have gone in and done that. We never did.
And that's why I say, Mike, who has been, he really, and he's not somebody he's just a web guy. He's a guy that does a little bit of what you do for a living. He works for big companies and he's, done online marketing. But I think what's fascinating about this is our job is to encourage people to advertise with us, and yet that wasn't something that we would have been top of mind in terms of our ranking. So now that you did that, to continue this, how do you go about helping us elevate to get to, again, just for the what's in giggles here on terrestrial radio, would be just cool for us to go, we outrank Rogers and Bell for radio advertising.
Okay, so the first thing you'd have to do is create a separate page on the website, and the page would be optimized for radio advertising. We would look at what the strongest keywords were, and then we try to get the keywords in. For example, the title. When you do a search online and you see the search results, you'll see the blue lettering. That's your title, or what they call a meta title. It's only seen by the search engine. It's not really seen by human beings. So what we do is we'd optimize that title for some of those keywords, and right there you would have a leg in the race, because when Google's bot would come in and read your site, it would say, oh, okay, these guys are throwing their hat in the ring. Let's see where they land. And then what it would come down to is who was best optimized from a title and meta and on-page standpoint. Now, if somebody else has kind of got in the race ahead of you and they've built a few links to that page on their site, or their site is generally more powered by inbound links, they're going to be ahead of you. Now, another thing that's going to affect that is the age of the page. A brand new page is not going to rank as well. It's going to need to age a little bit before Google's going to acknowledge it in its index. Right. So that's kind of generally the three rules of the game.
And so, Tommy, it's not an instant thing, but it's a thing where you sort of cultivate it over time. You start to plant those seeds, you change some of the keywords, you change your metadata, and then it starts to pay off. On average, if we want, let's use us as the case study. In order to get that ranking, would it take 6 weeks? Is it 6 months? Is it over the course of a year?
Okay, well, you asked me...
Is that a fair question?
Yeah, it is. Very fair question. So you asked me that question sort of last time we were on, and I sort of dropped the ball, and it didn't really... you said, well, what was it going to take, a week? And I said, well, and went for the long haul. But there is a way to get there tomorrow.
What, really?
Yeah. All right, this is something we didn't talk about. Okay, so now you can buy that traffic by using what they call Google Adwords. Mm-hmm. All right, Google always puts their ads above the organic ranking, so you would be at the top. So you can literally set up a Google AdWords campaign, target those specific keywords. And
buy that ranking.
By the time they approve the ads, you're up and going, and that could be a matter of hours.
And they sort of signify that by putting ad beside it,
yes,
right?
There's a little sort of green box there that used to be solid green, but they've made it, a little hollow and opaque now to hide it.
Must be fun to be at Google and think on a daily basis more ways we can make money, because it's limitless when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Well, that is where their money comes from.
Yeah.
Google. It's the ads. They built the platform. It's kind of like the whole internet model. Give something away for free, get everybody kind of hooked on it, and then start sneaking the advertising in there quietly. And before you know it,
I saw an article on the weekend showed the changing nature of the most trusted and not most trusted, the biggest brand names in the world, and how it's changed over 15 years. 15 years ago, the number one brand on earth was Coca-Cola, followed by McDonald's, followed by traditional, IBM. And in 15 years, you can see and they showed a time lapse of how these trusted companies have changed. And now it's Apple, Facebook. I'm sorry, not Facebook, Google. Apple and Google.
Amazon.
In fact, I was surprised how lower down that list Facebook actually ranked in terms of a trusted brand or a brand name. But the point is that Google is amongst the one or two most trusted brands on earth. Absolutely. Because of our daily use of it. I just wonder, somewhere in the world is the guy who created Ask Jeeves. Is he?
I was thinking about Ask Jeeves.
What's he doing? Is he at the Coffee Time in Lindsay?
Yeah.
Where's he?
He's probably working at Google.
Yeah.
I still use Yahoo.
Do you really?
I do.
For what?
Well, it's my email.
Yeah,
so,
I guess.
Yeah, I have a Yahoo email, and so it's what comes up, and I read their stories and stuff.
I do have. Anyone still have Outlook as their email?
No.
Some people do still.
It, yeah.
Well, web crawler, I think it still exists. Like I just put webcrawler.com there. I mean, it's very bland.
Looks pretty bare bones.
Unassuming, but
Hey, Fizz. Sometimes you go to, certain sites, questionable sites, and then something happens and it will... And what's the name of that thing that sometimes infects my search engine?
Bing?
No, it's like Bing.
Oh, okay.
But it'll hijack your web. It'll hijack your Google.
What's this?
Well, sometimes if you go to certain sites, and they're not all porn sites, but sometimes some of them are. But sometimes what will happen is you'll get infected, and what it will do is take over your search engine. So you go to new tab, and Bing comes up with this other thing.
Like the ads come up? Kind of thing?
No, just
Bing,
it takes
bang.
over it becomes your default search engine.
Yeah, mine goes to Yahoo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And until Fizz showed me how, I was like horrified. I'm like, what? Where's my Google? They took my Google away from the porn searching.
Well, I just on web crawler, I typed in Toronto radio advertising, and it took me, the top thing is Google Ads, official site.
There you go.
Wow.
Well,
And it has a
your
little
answer.
ad tag beside it.
Listen, it's a I think it would be an interesting exercise with GreenGenieSEO.com, and not just for Humble and Fred. If you're one of those businesses that is wondering, having heard this conversation and thinking about it, we've had this website now for almost 8 years, and never really occurred to us to embed any advertising metadata. And I'm sure maybe you have the same thing in your company. Get a hold of these guys. Tom at Gustar is here. And how do people engage your services? Is it a contract? Is it a retainer? How does it work?
Typically what we do is we put them on just a letter of intent. It's not a locked-in contract. So what happens is the letter of intent just sort of expresses what I need from you to do my job properly, because there are things the client needs to give me, access to certain things, and basically what I'm going to do for you and what restrictions. And then it's open-ended. If you're not happy in 3 months and you want to stop, you can stop.
Very nice.
Do you work with actors? Because I know about a million.
Oh, I have not worked with an actor yet, but I'm open to looking. The first thing I do when anybody comes to me is I do an analysis to see if SEO is suitable for them.
Right.
Sometimes it's not, but oftentimes some other form of digital marketing, like Google ads or Facebook ads.
But Amanda, I don't know why you'd need this service. You're already ranked number 1 for quirky and delightful.
Oh,
I mean, let's be serious. Someone search quirky, delightful actresses.
Yeah. Amanda Barker.
Amanda Barker's ranked number 1.
Humble and Fred Radio. Oh, what's this Humble and Fred? I'll click on that.
What is this wasteland known as Humble and Fred? Well, we'd love for you to take a crack at it, Tom. And I think, we've got Green Genie SEO with us for the next couple months. I don't want to... If you can just sort of, without costing us anything, is it possible?
I don't know.
Yeah,
all
right.
Probably not.
Right. Well, then that's going to be an issue. We're just a small business, couple of simple boys from the prairies.
Well, the reason I bring up actors is because there is so much emphasis on social media and monetizing yourself and influencers and getting hired if you're an influencer and you're following. And I see it in castings, too, where it's like, oh, look at their Instagram feed. They're a thing on Instagram.
Yeah.
Let's hire them for our Nordstrom campaign.
Interesting.
That's a true example.
Yeah, and I think if you're in the entertainment industry like that, it's probably social media is probably a strong play.
Yeah, but I bet websites as well. Anyway, just a thought.
Oh, I just Googled smart, savvy actresses, and Amanda Barker came up again.
I put it in my meta tags.
All right, Tommy. Listen,
Thanks,
man.
Tom.
Thanks for coming in. We'll figure something out. Just before I let Tom go, your wife, Virginia, and I have been corresponding, and fascinating woman. Are you as interested in the... some of the dark searches on the web as my friend Virginia is, or you stay out of that?
Oh, I stay out of that.
Yeah, it's probably best. Virginia and I have a certain conspiracy community in common. I'll just say that without
revealing anything.
Without revealing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. She's right into it.
Oh, are you?
Oh, yeah, man.
Dark web stuff?
See, her and I
Right from the Twin Towers?
Yeah. Me and Virginia have been going back and forth about Building 7.
Building 7.
Just Google that, kids. Yeah, okay, NIST.
Still?
Yeah. Still. Well, no one can explain that. What the Building 7? Right, Virginia? Yeah. She's all embarrassed.
Never happened.
Anyway, you're a good man, Tom. Thanks for coming in. Tom Gustar.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tommy. Tom.